Welcome back. All right, news of the day video now that the PWHL draft is well underway. I believe they're in the fourth round right now out of 15. So, yeah, the first four rounds televised and all that. It's on Sportsnet up here. I know it's on ESPN Plus. It's on TSN as well. I'm going to say this. I think that they should have sped up the process a bit. And I only say that because we complain about National Hockey League drafts being too slow. I know the one year I covered the NFL draft, it took forever. And with the Women's Hockey League that's trying to drum up a lot of support and a lot of interest from fans who may not know who these players are, it just feels like the draft was taking a long, long time, considering there's only 6 teams. So Minnesota, in a historical move, the first ever first draft pick for the PWHL, Taylor Heise, goes first overall to Minnesota. Toronto surprised a bit by taking, on the defense, taking Larocque. That allowed Boston to then draft Alina Mueller third overall. Now, Mueller did have ties to Boston prior to the draft, but I'm still surprised that Toronto would pass on her. One other thing with the PWHL draft, there were no trades allowed today, which kind of threw me off. I'm thinking, how can you not allow trades? Like, it's one of the most exciting things in a draft, right? Like, we always, which draft picks are going to get traded? Or this team might trade down here, this team might trade up here. And so that was kind of out of it. So Mueller goes to Boston, who by all accounts are drafting very, very well. Defense seemed to dominate the first, I would say, 15 picks. So a lot of teams realizing that defense is really important and then picking up forwards. Goaltenders, there was only the one, I think, in the first 2 rounds. But yeah, so I do wish the PWHL all the best. I think the misses in this were not having any team names yet and no jerseys. So one of the things, of course, with the draft is seeing a draft pick put on a jersey. We didn't have that moment today, right? Nobody putting on a jersey, and so you don't have that moment that can be shown years and years later, which again we'll see what they do with team names and everything. It's odd to me, but again I do wish the league all the best. As the rookie tournaments finish out today, just a couple things I wanted to talk about. First off, Chabrikov impressing for the Jets at the rookie tournament in Penticton. I wanted to put him on the board. He had a nice goal today, and understanding that there are a lot of nice goals being scored by a lot of rookies, and we'll see whether or not Chabrikov ends up making it onto maybe the Moose roster, I would think, very likely. But if he does get a call up at some point this year, he was, I believe, a second-round draft pick a couple years back. And so, yeah, nice to see him get a nice goal. And for the New Jersey Devils, goaltender Riley Mercer was the first star of the game against the Bruins today that they won. The Bruins dominated that one early. Mercer keeps him in the game, and then his teammates bail him out and get the win. So, nice play there. And again, with the rookies coming out of this tournament, you're looking for guys who maybe weren't on the radar, maybe weren't being talked about, and teams having their heads turned and saying, you know what, we've got a really good prospect here, we've got a really good player here. And players, of course, looking for contracts. So while these tournaments, it does look a lot like shinny, it's very north-south hockey, there's not a lot of strategy with it, it's fun to watch, and so I wish these kids well. The Ottawa Senators, so we're still waiting on the vote. Board of Governors vote's supposed to be this week, according to Bruce Garriak. And it's not going to be in person. It's going to be done remotely, an electronic vote, and it's basically just it's a fait accompli. It's going to happen. It's not like there's any chance that the Ottawa sale is going to fall through and the Board of Governors is going to say forget it. Andlauer will officially be the owner by the end of this week. We've just been talking about this all summer, haven't we? It feels like it was in July. I was like, well, the Andlauer sale's got to close this week, right? But anyways, yeah, we're in September, and it's going to close this week. So sure, checks in the mail and all that. But this should absolutely be the week. Interesting article on The Athletic today. Thomas Drance sitting down with Ken Holland. Ken Holland, of course, a bit of a I wouldn't say controversial, but a divisive figure when it comes to general managers. There are those who think he's a very good general manager. There are those who think that he isn't. And of course, he's in the final year of his contract in Edmonton. He would not speculate in that article on the future for him as general manager of the Oilers past this season, also saying he agrees with the idea that it's cup or bust for the Edmonton Oilers this year. Keep in mind, it's not that long until Draisaitl and McDavid are going to be due for extensions. And so you want to make sure that the team continues to progress in the right direction so that these guys want to stick around, right? So he also said that Costin and Yamamoto, he liked both players and wanted to keep them, but the flat cap has hurt him, that the cap going up $2 million in 5 years has meant losing players. I would counter and say that there are too many times where general managers seem to plan the future as if it's a guarantee the cap's going to go up. And I know I've talked a lot about the cap going up next summer, and it absolutely should. But they don't seem to have that fallback necessarily. So it does mean that these rookie tournaments have a little bit more importance for teams that are right at or over the cap, because you could get a guy who's on an entry-level contract to play on your roster or, end up in the AHL and be a call-up that helps you stay below the cap. So there are general managers that navigate the cap well. There are general managers that have challenges and struggles with it. One thing with Holland's been in the NHL as a GM for a very long time, so the way he approaches things may very well be different from a younger GM who's just always had the cap there and just knows that's part of it, right? But anyways, there you go. Ken Holland, general manager. Do you want him to stick around in Edmonton? There's a lot of speculation he probably retires at the end of this season. I would say that's probably pretty likely. He's been in the National Hockey League a long time. He just wants to go out with a Stanley Cup ring. And who wouldn't? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.